Winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies for this evening and tonight. Tonight's low fall to 55. Warmer tomorrow, high of 85.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. I am scurrying around like a madman this morning trying to get everything ready. And it's some days are like that. And here we go. And I am totally not ready. NewsTalk 1320 and now at 105.1. All right, there's the big open.
Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio. Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
It feels like Friday.
And will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Hope you're doing really well this morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. So we had Kamala Harris doing her first interview with CNN yesterday, and I like doing some of the, I go to several different sources and I see what are the top five takeaways, top five moments from the Kamala Harris interview. Let's start at foxnews.com. The Harris fumbled the day one question. Harris was, and I listened to the audio from this. I'm going to share it with you coming up. It was pretty incredible. So on day one, what are you going to do? And Kamala Harris served up a word salad. I mean, it was incredible. So if you didn't see the interview last night, believe me, I think you're better off for not having seen it. Anyway, she was asked twice about her day one agenda, and Dana Bash said the voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you were elected, what would you do on day one in the White House? Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, here we go. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. And it just, it's like 2 minutes. There's a 2-minute clip, and I'll play the audio for you this morning. And it's like, and then Dana Bash had to revisit and she went on and responded even further. And of course, didn't answer the question. So then Dana Bash says, so what would you do day one? Day one, it's going to be about implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families. So it was not good. Other takeaways, Fox News says, Harris says she made her position clear on fracking in 2020. And Fox News says, except it was not her position. She said, I made it clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking, she said. Also, Governor Tim Walz was also there. This was a joint interview between Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And then Walz was asked, Dana Bash actually was a little harder on Tim Walz than she was on Kamala Harris. And the whole issue over, his claims about, wanting to ban guns like the ones he carried in war. And she asked him about that. And Walz said, well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country, especially proud of my service in a public school classroom. Whether it's Congress or the governor, my record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So then Bash asked, had he misspoke? And she talking about his grammar, the grammar that he used. Did he misspeak? And he said, yeah. I said, we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. So again, you know, if you're looking for any accountability from Kamala Harris or from Tim Walz in this interview that she did, there wasn't any of that. Kamala Harris also said she would appoint a Republican to her cabinet if she is elected. But she did not have anybody specific in mind. Let's see what else, some of the other takeaways. This is the Hill, 5 takeaways from the Hill. Harris defending her policy shifts. She'd been all over the road when it comes to policy. And she said, my values haven't changed. Oh, I believe that. I believe that, and I'm sure you do too. I don't think her values have changed at all. But her positions have certainly changed. Her positions on issues have certainly changed. I don't know what her values are. There are a lot of people who are out there speculating about what her values may be, and I don't know what her actual values are. So then she emphasized her belief that climate change is a real and present danger. She also talked about, she emphasized the more hawkish elements of her past record on immigration. Says the Hill, when Bash prodded more firmly on the specifics, Harris said, Harris had some of her least impressive moments of the interview. Now, that's coming from the Hill. Asked by Bash whether she still wanted to ban fracking as she had in the past. No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. So then Bash read for a second time a 2019 quote where Harris said there was no question that she would ban fracking. So again, I think, you know, Harris also gave some new details on the president's withdrawal from the race. She was at home, and they were just had pancakes when the president called and told her that he was not going to run. Also, Harris made an appeal to disaffected Republicans during the interview. And again, she promised to appoint a Republican to a member of her cabinet. Republican, that's a pretty broad umbrella these days. Harris also said, Trump responding to Kamala Harris, boring. Donald Trump said on Truth Social. And the Hill says for Harris, boring is good. So, pretty incredible. There's a piece at PJ Media this morning, Matt Margolis. Kamala's first interview was the dumpster fire you expected it would be. Yeah, it was not good. Not good. So Kamala also blamed Donald Trump for the border crisis and the economy. So her answer really was, the day one question, I think, really showed that she is just not prepared for this job. She is just, what would you do on day one? Wow. And then you immediately going down the rabbit hole. I think those are some of the biggest takeaways from the CNN interview with Kamala Harris last night. She also almost talked about, and this is a piece of Breitbart this morning, Bidenomics. She's doubling down on Bidenomics. It's good work. Good work. Bidenomics is good work. She said there's more to do, but that's good work, she said. And so Bash said, you've been vice president for 3.5 years. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already? Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. And I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. And you maintain Bidenomics is a success? And Harris said, yes, Bidenomics is good work. That was the major takeaway. But again, so Kamala Harris on CNN last night, and now, and you may have heard about this yesterday on the Clay and Buck show, because Clay Travis spoke to Nate Silver, and they were talking about his models and the projection. And now you see that Trump now has taken over the probability model that's run by Nate Silver. Trump now is at 52%, Kamala Harris at 42%. So Donald Trump a 52% chance of winning, Kamala Harris at 47%. So this is the first poll that we have seen, and this one coming from Nate Silver, showing that Donald Trump holding a 2-point edge over Kamala Harris nationally. So this was published yesterday. And, this Nate Silver does an electoral model. Rasmussen released a poll yesterday, and the Rasmussen poll is also showing Donald Trump holding a 2-point edge over Kamala Harris nationally. So this was released yesterday. Finds that 48, when they talked to nearly 1,900 voters, and 48% back Trump, placing him 2 percentage points above Harris at 46%. 3% are undecided. Independents are breaking for Trump over Harris by an 8-point margin of 49 to 41%. What have I said? Independents are going to be incredibly important, I believe, as you are looking at this, that, a lot of Republicans are pretty solidly for Donald Trump, but it's independents. And where independents are, where are they going? And they're going in greater number now to Trump over Harris, according to these most recent polls. And these are pretty credible polls, which is the reason that I mentioned them versus, the New York Times polls that we see out there. Also, Donald Trump said yesterday at a rally in Michigan that the federal government would mandate insurance companies to cover all costs related to in vitro fertilization. And Trump said, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatments, fertilization for women. because we want more babies, to put it very nicely, he said. And for the same reason, we will also allow new parents to deduct major newborn expenses from their taxes. So this is Trump here bringing up this issue. He said the cost of IVF treatments are just astronomical, exorbitant. And then this piece starts getting into the actual details of how expensive it has become for American families. But Trump reacting to that, he said, we're pro-family. Nobody has said that before, but the IVF treatments are expensive. It's very hard for many people to do it and to get it. But I've been in favor of IVF right from the beginning. If you talk to Democrats, they'll say, oh, he really doesn't like it. They have ads that I'm against it. It's just the opposite. So Trump said, I'm totally in favor of it. Another big story this morning, Senator J.D. Vance received some heckling and boos yesterday. Vance was speaking at a firefighter union event in Boston. And as he was beginning, he said, he told the crowd, he said, Semper Fi, guys. And he said, we've got some, it sounds like we've got some fans and some haters. And that's okay, he said. Well, he said, let's listen to what I have to say here and I'll make my pitch. So he went on to praise the firefighters, thank them for their service in the speech. And he said, you make a difference every single day, and I thank you for it. And he said that Donald Trump and the campaign will always stand with the courageous firefighters and the first responders who keep this country safe every single day. And so he received boos at one point in his speech after he said the Trump fans ticket was the most pro-worker Republican ticket in history. And some of the crowd booed. But at the same time, Vance also received applause from the crowd at various points, including when he said Republicans would defend people's right to free speech, including your right to speak out about unconstitutional COVID vaccine mandates. So it was kind of a mixed reaction. And he said, now I know this is a diverse union. Some of you love President Trump. Some of you clearly don't. I've heard from both sides. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but once upon a time, I wasn't a Trump guy either. And trust me, the president never lets me forget it. He said, I bet he doesn't. He said, I'll tell you whatever your politics and whatever your preference is, I'll make this solemn promise, whether you support us or not, whether you ultimately endorse us or not. President Trump and I believe in our firefighters. We believe in our first responders, and we will never stop fighting for you. Also, Donald Trump, again, this town hall event in Wisconsin, talking about the revival of the American dream. And he talked about by boosting domestic energy production, the U.S. could pay down its national debt, reduce taxes, ultimately lower the cost of living, Trump said. He also, and this is what the legacy media has latched onto, that Trump said of Tim Walz, he's a weird dude. Trump said, they picked this guy, he is weird, Trump said. I'm not weird, he's weird. He's a weird guy, he's a weird dude. They come up with sound bites, they always have sound bites. One of the things Walz said is that JD and I are weird. JD is doing a great job, smart, top student, great guy. He's not weird, and I'm not weird. We're a lot of things. We are not weird. But that guy is weird, don't you think? Trump said. So also the Trump campaign upset with Fox News. The campaign said that some polling that Fox had, it's that time of year again, Fox is releasing atrocious polling, according to the Trump campaign. So that's I know it's Bizarro World every day. It's like, let's take our first steps into Bizarro World today. All right. Also, I got some other stories here as well. This is from justthenews.com this morning, or excuse me, justthenews.com. It's one of their big stories this morning about cell phone bans in school districts. And that's on the rise now nationally. You know, we have seen a number of school districts in South Dakota who have been taking steps toward banning cell phones, the students having to lock them up. And more districts have been doing this. And justthenews.com has got a story on it this morning. So districts in different states have been implementing restrictions and bans on cell phones in schools in order to tackle the mental health crisis among young teenagers, among teenagers and young adults. According to the National Institute of Health, almost 20% of people in the age range of 3 to 17 have a mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral disorder. Suicide rates among high school students have increased 40% in the decade before 2019. So you got a growing number of schools who are talking about this. Los Angeles voted to ban cell phone use, according to local media. Other districts are doing bans include in Nevada, South Carolina, Florida, Indiana, Virginia. Again, some districts in South Dakota have done that. So it's getting, you've got more and more districts who are moving to do this. Certainly a big story this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. I very much appreciate it. This hour is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Okay. Let me check and see we're still up and running here. Oh, yes. Okay. And another window up on my computer.
Air conditioning breaks down, you can always count on
All right.
Service Department 24/7. Just call Hander Plumbing and Heating.
I have so much stuff. I'm racing, trying to get it all in.
It's the final week. Come in today and
You see, look at this stack of stuff on the. Oh, it's a mess of. This is why you hear me so often. Where is that? Where is that? I'm fumbling for this or that. That's why, right there.
I'm having wine. I'm finishing dessert. I'm ordering another bottle. I'm driving home. I'm getting pulled over. I'm getting handcuffed. I'm getting a DUI.
Saturation patrols are coming to Lincoln County. If you plan on drinking, always have a
Okay. Excuse me.
By the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety in this station.
Plenty of sunshine for today. High temperature
Yeah,
at
we'll be
78.
okay.
Northwest
I'm
winds 10
okay.
to 15 miles per hour.
I panic and then I take another look at things and it's like, oh, no, I'm okay.
Sunshine for tomorrow. We'll change that wind direction to the southwest. That will help.
Believe me, time goes fast and it's unrelenting. Time's going to keep moving forward whether I'm ready or not. Great to have you along this morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, Sioux Falls School District could be making changes to its cell phone policy. What was I just talking about? Also, the rock band Foreigner apologizing for denying stage access to a 12-year-old choir singer who was in a wheelchair at Wednesday's concert in Sioux Falls. So now they are apologizing. Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you in moments here on Kello.
One of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class.
Vice President Kamala Harris gives the first interview of her presidential campaign on CNN, talking about President Biden ending his campaign.
I asked him, "Are you sure?"
What's the old
And
Betty
he said,
Davis line? What a dump.
But that's how I learned about it.
That's not even my trending stories. That's the actual. That's mainline news.
Your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women.
Trump there in Potterville, Michigan. He campaigns in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. today. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Following recent cell phone bans in other South Dakota school districts, the Sioux Falls School District could be making changes to its cell phone policy. SFSD is creating a group to study the impact of phones in classrooms. The 30-member group includes teachers, parents, administrators, and students. More information is expected to be released in the coming weeks. The rock band Foreigner is apologizing for denying stage access to a wheelchair-bound 12-year-old at Wednesday's concert in Sioux Falls. The Sioux Falls Children's Choir was invited on stage to accompany the band for a song. However, one of the choir members couldn't join due to safety hazards that prevented her from getting on stage. Foreigner later released an apology on Facebook. Decades ago, healing evangelists traveled the world holding large campaigns. Now, with the help of technology, we may see a resurgence. Church at the Gate in Sioux Falls is one of nearly 700 churches worldwide that will be a host site for a night of healing. Pastor Brent Parker says several churches and ministries in the city are participating in the event, which was initiated by a church in Ohio.
It's just been laid on their heart that this was a season that God really wanted to restore healings and miracles to the body of Christ, the church.
Parker says people will be free to come and go throughout the event, which begins tonight at 6. Motorists in Sioux Falls be advised that starting September 2nd, next week, the I-229 northbound on-ramp at Cliff Avenue will be closed for the better part of the month. Crews will be installing a retaining wall and conducting lane widening operations for the I-229 temporary bridge and diversion. It was electric inside the Dakota Dome last night when the USD Coyotes pummeled the Northern State Wolves 45-3 to open the season. Northern State struck first with a field goal, but the Yotes answered back with 45 unanswered points. South Dakota will travel to Madison, Wisconsin next week for a showdown with Big Ten foe, the Wisconsin Badgers. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Mostly sunny today, high temperature of 78, northwest winds 10.
Okay, as I'm sorting these stories out, give me a moment here, and then I'll have a few thoughts for you on some of this, because
Plenty of sunshine, southwest winds at 10 to 15. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies on Sunday, a little cooler at 73. For the Kettleland storm.
Thing that happens with stories that are trending is the legacy media portion starts trending, and then what you don't see is the follow-ups and other people reacting or saying that this is not true.
With a fast protect plan at simplysafekin.com. This news comes from J.D. Power, the company that tracks customer satisfaction. While the new cars are literally packed with AI that customers love, like smart climate control, lane change assist, other expensive features like the fingerprint scanner, facial recognition, and facial gesture controls are not so popular. Drivers think the manufacturers charge them for useless technology that solve problems that never existed in the first place. When contracting, ask yourself just how much tech you really need and want in that new car. Read the reviews, Play hardball to get a great discount. It's a buyer's market right now, and there's money to be saved. Enter to win a brand new iPhone 16 at winfrom10.com. Picture this. A stranger with a crowbar pries open a window, or a fire breaks out in the kitchen. Deadly carbon monoxide leaks into your home at 2 a.m. In moments like this, every second counts.
And this is the example. U.S. Army issued a statement defending the Arlington Cemetery employee who was pushed aside by the Trump staff. So now the U.S. Army comes out. Then why do we have Gold Star families who are defending what happened at Arlington? And I'm telling you, the machine in Washington is just absolutely relentless in the way they're going after, you know. If somebody was a proud member of the U.S. Army, this kind of stuff really concerns me, disappoints me.
The Kid Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
Okay, let me get my thoughts here. We'll give her another run.
Financing programs available 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you. Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Advocate.
Well, I'll talk about this coming up here, but ABC has denied Kamala Harris' request to have Donald Trump's mic open during the debate. So ABC has denied the request. They're not going to do it. So we'll see a debate, and I think that's for the better. I think that, you know, close the mics when you're not speaking. When it's not your turn, you'll close the microphone. So, and I mentioned this on the air. I just have a really hard time believing. I deal with a lot of contracts. You know, everybody is doing business by contract. You want to carry a program. Obviously, we can't just put a program on the air. We've got to sign a contract. We take a look at the contract, see whether we, you know, everything's done by contract. The idea that somehow Kamala Harris that this had not been written down as to what exactly would be taking place, to me is very hard to believe. I'm not saying but nobody operates, especially at that level. Nobody operates without a contract. All right. I'm going to take a breath here. Oh, and I need to get a tip.
Choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works in over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens.
I get so busy with this stack of stuff.
Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance.
There we go. The official observation from the National Weather Service.
If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed for you. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at lifewatch.com.
These days, with all the nonsense that poses as news,
Been missing my coffee this week, but I'm not. I think some of the, you know, I've commented to you a few times about some bad days I was having. I think it's the coffee. So I cut the coffee, and I've been feeling pretty good the last few days. 6:39. Partly cloudy and 57 currently at Kello. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. I really do appreciate it, my friend. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Hey, coming up a little later this morning, Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom will join us. lot to talk about with the chief of police. There was, as you know, there was a homicide in Sioux Falls this past week. That department has had their hands full with a lot of things. You know, we've had the focus on downtown. They're also have been out doing saturation patrols, and so they're in speeding, racing rather, I should say, not just speeding, but racing has been an issue in some parts of the city. So a lot to talk about with Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom. And again, he'll join us coming up this morning just after 8.
The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
All right, these are the stories that are trending this morning. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz sitting for their first interview of the campaign. This was an interview with CNN's Dana Bash. And Kamala Harris said her values haven't changed. She addressed flip-flopping then as she was talking about it. So she also talked about how she learned that the president had made the decision to end his re-election campaign. She had just finished eating pancakes with her family when she took the president's call. And so again, she defended her flip-flops. She said, my value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as an Attorney General of California, prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed, she said. So she mounted a tougher approach on migration, also very saying that she supports weapons for Israel. Also, Donald Trump, meanwhile, held the town hall meeting in La Crosse last night. And this story was trending even prior to the event about Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump holding this town hall. And apparently there are reports this morning that Donald Trump didn't know about it. I don't know what truth there is to that, but there are some stories along those lines that are trending this morning. Now, one of the things that Trump had said, he talked about making in vitro fertilization free for all. And so Trump is, again, Michigan and Wisconsin are both in swing congressional districts, and that's where he has been making these statements. But he said that if he's elected, he wants to make IVF treatments paid for by the government or insurance companies if he's elected. And this was during an interview he did with NBC News yesterday. And he said his administration would not only protect access to in vitro fertilization, but they would cover the cost of the service for American women who need it. Trump said, we're going to be under the Trump administration, we are going to be paying for that treatment. We're going to be mandating that the insurance company pay, he said. And he said, we need to see more babies, he said. Also, ABC has denied the request from Kamala Harris to keep microphones open during her upcoming debate with Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has been pushing to have the microphones open. ABC News is now saying no, they're not going to do that. And I didn't believe that they would. Again, generally what you see are contracts that get signed. You know, you agree to do this, and and the campaigns will take a look at it, and they want it in writing. We're not just going to take on a handshake. We're not going to take your word for it that this is what's, we want something. We want some kind of guarantee, right? And the networks want to guarantee that the candidates are going to be there, so on. So the U.S. Army has issued a statement defending an employee at Arlington Cemetery who was, according to the legacy media, pushed aside by the staff of Donald Trump. And so the U.S. Army is rebuking the Trump campaign for this incident. They said they loathe to get in the middle of highly political issues. So Trump was visiting the cemetery following a wreath laying to honor 13 U.S. Military service members who were killed. And a video of the visit by the Trump campaign showed video of Trump walking through Arlington, visiting grave sites, and so on. So the Army now is backing up this employee at Arlington. But Gold Star family members who were there and invited Trump are also speaking out. And Trump also talked about this. He said, those incredible parents and sisters and brothers, they asked me to go to Arlington, and I did. Donald Trump just did not show up there. He was asked to be there. And he said, while I was there, these families had asked me to be there. 3 families plus 1 soldier who was horrifically injured, both legs and an arm. While we were there, they said, could you take pictures over the grave of my son, my sister, my brother? Would you take pictures with us, sir? I said, absolutely. I did. And then I said, farewell. I said goodbye, and he left. So Donald Trump wasn't thinking anything of it. He had the family members who were asking him, will you take these pictures with us? And he said, and last night I read that I was using the site to politic. This all comes out of Washington. Just like all of these prosecutors come out of Washington. They all come out. They send their prosecutors into the DA's office. They send them into the Attorney General's office. These are bad people we're dealing with. So I go there. They ask me to have a picture, and they say I was campaigning. And he said he doesn't need to do this kind of thing. He said, the one thing I get is plenty of publicity. So in other words, he went on to say he does not have to seek publicity. He's got it constantly, Other stories trending this morning. Dow Jones hit a new record yesterday. Hit a new record high. Also, the U.S. economy grew by 3% in second quarter. So U.S. economic growth last quarter revised up to a solid 3% annual rate. I don't trust a lot of those numbers. We've seen them recently being corrected. So I don't have a lot of faith in those numbers. Also, the California legislature has passed a bill banning local voter ID laws. So if you have places in California where the local government's passing ID laws, voter ID laws, California legislature say, no, can't do that. Can't do that. Can't have that. So they're banning voter ID laws at the local level. That's pretty troubling to me. The government is always best when it's closest to the people. Also trending, old Boar's Head finds themselves in the middle of a listeria outbreak. It's the worst in the U.S. since 2011. 9 people are dead. 57 have been hospitalized. So there are a number of stories trending regarding this listeria outbreak. Bugs and mold have been found at the Boar's Head plant. So inspectors found this. And again, 9 people dead, 57 hospitalized as a result of this. The CIA is warning that, CIA is saying that their warning helped Austrian police foil that terror plot that was going to be carried out at a Taylor Swift concert, according to the CIA. That those who were plotting this planned to kill tens of thousands before American intelligence helped foil that attack. The CIA saying its warning played a big pivotal role in preventing anyone from being harmed. Also, a former Massachusetts police officer who is charged with murdering a pregnant woman that he had been grooming as a teenager. So now the reports are that he had been grooming her and he had texted her about taking her virginity prior to strangling her. Also, the Justice Department finding flaws in the FBI's reporting of sex crimes against children. So the FBI has failed to report all suspected child sexual abuse cases to law enforcement. And this is, according to a watchdog report released yesterday, they reviewed more than 300 cases, found no evidence that the FBI complied with mandatory reporting requirements. And this has been an issue because, for instance, remember Larry Nassar, the team doctor for USA Gymnastics and all that he was involved in. So the FBI then not, complying with these mandatory reporting requirements is certainly a big issue. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. remains in the news now. An environmental group is calling for an investigation into claims that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. cut a whale's head off. Those are the claims, that he cut off a whale's head with a chainsaw. Also, and I think this is the much bigger story, that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is unable to remove his name from the ballot in a few key swing states. Michigan and Wisconsin are refusing to take Kennedy's name off the ballot. He has, as you know, since dropped out of the race, and he has asked them to take his name off the ballot. They will refuse to do so. What do you make of that? How is that right? I mean, seriously, that's just a common sense, Main Street kind of perspective. How in the hell is that right? When someone is asking, please take my name off the ballot. No, we're not going to. We're not going to take your name off the ballot. That's it. Why? So why would they do that? You know the answer, right? It's to hurt Donald Trump. They're hoping that people will go in and vote for RFK and not vote for Trump in these swing states. And I just, again, how is that right? How is that correct? That to me, it just blows my mind. Absolutely incredible. The guy is asked to have his name removed from the ballot. Take it off the damn ballot. It's not that hard. It's incredible. Okay, I'm going to calm down. This is what's been going on in the suburb of Denver has been in the news here for days, and it's trending this morning. There's a migrant gang that has really taken hold, and there's videos that you may have seen that trending in a number of places. Fox News has had .com has had coverage of this, of these gangs. And I know I was seeing it on Fox News channel yesterday morning, showing this. The story is trending this morning. So the video shows this armed gang at this Colorado apartment building that's believed then to have been taken over by migrants. The whole building has been just taken over. And you've got armed people who are walking, and I mean, carrying a few carrying rifles, others carrying handguns in their hand, not like in a holster, open carry. We've talked about that many times. They're carrying guns in their hand, and they're heaven only knows what's going on in this apartment building. So there are a growing number of stories regarding this. And so the violent migrant gang problem now being pushed into the suburbs, and people saying it's become now, because of this, a nationwide problem. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for letting me join you this morning. It's partly cloudy, 57 currently at Kello. And this hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
I want to bring up a point here. This is weird.
Well, I want to thank you very much, my friend, for letting me join you this morning, and I hope you will return at 9:30 for the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, not only here on YouTube, starting today. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, you'll be able to watch the fourth hour also on my Facebook page. So I'm stepping up. I'm learning more and more as I get back into streaming. So it's great to have you along. Very much appreciated. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. If I don't talk to you again, so long until Monday, and may God bless.